Where's Richie? We need to close that door over yonder. Tell him to get his fat ass in here. Hey, we're live, by the way.
We are live?
Yep. I went ahead and started this just so we can make sure everything's good.
We are live. All right. All right, I'm going to get where I need to be. We are live now.
Okay. There we go. That is much better. Now, what did I do with Restream? Hell, I bet that won't work. It won't work.
If I'm on Restream, how can I make it go full screen? You know how to do that? By the way, I have excellent connection, by the way.
That's wonderful.
Great to see you all back at it. Well, hello, Zachary. We're great to be back. It's good to be back. Camped out overnight to be first in the comments, Kelly. Oh, goodness. You're too much, buddy. You're too much. All right.
And now we just got to get Richie's insubordinate ass in here.
Richie's insubordinate ass. This thing is blocking my face. There's nothing about this that I like, just so you know. There we go.
There
That's
he
better.
is.
All right, Richie, you're late to a very important date.
So he's number 4.
So I can't.
Tell the people who we are.
People are afraid of you all.
Yeah.
So on Restream, can you tell me how to make this go full screen or not?
I'm not sure what you're trying to make go full screen.
I'm trying to make the little window that says episode 189.
You can't.
Be full screen. Can't do it?
You can't do it.
I don't think I think you're not trying to help me.
Well, I'm looking at more actions. Nope, there's no way to do it. I mean, oh, yeah, you can.
Where?
All right, just tap on anywhere and take your 2 fingers and spread them apart, and it will zoom that window. Just tap off to like the side of the...
Not doing it, brother.
Do you have the Chrome window maximized?
I do.
Minimize it and make it not as full as the screen, and then try to zoom, because that's what I just did.
Still won't do it.
Can't help you.
Won't do it. Okay, no big deal. I can see here's Lance Calhoun. Haven't talked to Lance Calhoun in forever.
Yeah.
All right. Who else we got here? TikTok. You know, TikTok was really silent the last time we were live. You remember that?
Yeah.
Somebody should put this on the screen.
Wait a minute.
Well, you know Chris's face.
Just go to TikTok.
What are you trying to do?
Got that Chris's face ID
Oh.
or password.
Well, you can turn your volume down, open TikTok on your phone and search Blue Ribbon, and you can see the live with the comments and stuff.
Yeah, but they want to see it on that.
Okay.
That's fine. I'll give it a phone.
Plug that cord into it to give it some power, so it don't, because it's almost out of battery, and hand it to me and all.
How's Lance, Zachary? How's our sound tonight? Everybody good? Evan, all the gremlins seem to be checked out of the wind gate. Well, let's hope so. Okay,
Evan, damn it!
Don't say that, Evan. You just probably jinx the whole deal.
We're not at Wingate, if anyone's wondering.
Yeah. That's right, Evan. Who said we were at Wingate, right? We're in an undisclosed location.
Hey, that's that guy that quit platform, went back to band, right?
He couldn't decide which way he wanted to be, so he got a Conestoga. You know, there's a little bit of who are the Osmonds? Donnie and Marie.
Yeah, Donnie Marie.
A little bit of Donnie, a little bit of Marie, right? In case y'all couldn't tell, we have hit the bar already. Cheers. Happy New Year to everybody.
I'm going to have to kind of monitor because if I actually have their mics open, it picks up a lot of you. So,
Me?
yeah.
Because I'm so loud.
Well, no, it's because this room.
Nah,
And
it's
those
me.
mics are
I'm
made.
a very loud individual.
Yeah. What are you trying to do? That white one.
All
me
right.
see,
I
is
hope
it
everybody had
USB?
a
Wait a minute. Is that USB-C or is that the one Richie had?
watch something about 2011 for 11.
Oh, no.
Well, we'll discuss that, DL. Okay, give us a
No,
little
it's
chance to
gotta
get
be
started here. But
USB-C.
we'll discuss that.
There's one.
Shout out from St. Louis. Back to you,
It's-
St.
it's gotta
Louis.
be like that.
Lance, are you on the road tonight? Are you traveling? Where are you at?
Go over there,
Actually,
and
I
there's one of
can't
those
say it that
white-
way. You're not supposed to end
cords.
a sentence with a preposition. Y'all know that I've slept with an English teacher now for about 50 years. So you're not allowed to do this. It's where are you, not where are you at. That's not correct. It's where are you, Lance. So no problem, DL. We'll talk about that. I promise. Okay. Hang with us. Where's our TikTok guys? Come on, TikTok. We need you to spice it up. Home, drinking, part-time, retired. Well, I get that.
We
I get that.
we
Lance,
haven't got.
your home is Oklahoma, as I recall, right? You an Okie from Muskogee? Or is it Arkansas?
Do you have that little splitter that goes to your headphones?
Probably. I'd have to look.
Why don't
for
you
it.
look for it?
Around.
You don't have yours?
Well, I just realized that if you don't have the headphones on and you can't hear when somebody else is talking, you're just going to keep talking. And
I didn't want to.
I don't know why you're not on YouTube.
we're live on YouTube. Oh, why am I not on? Well, that's which one do you want? YouTube?
He wants to be able to see it.
Okay. All right. Turn it around.
There you go.
Swipe up from the bottom. Find the YouTube app. You can find it there.
Do I have to have a splitter?
I'll
Can't go
help.
in
I'll
separately?
help.
Do you have the splitter?
Grandpa Phil over here.
Don't judge. You don't judge me, and I won't judge you for being from Florida.
There you go.
How about that?
I know y'all didn't have
Look what I got.
electronics back in the 1930s, so I'll help you out.
Look what I got. All right. I don't think one of us has our shit together.
I bet you don't even know what a transistor radio is, dude.
I do not.
All right, give me that.
All right.
1, 2. All right. Whoa. That sounds completely different than
No
it did
kidding.
before.
It sure does.
Wow.
Hello.
That's in stereo.
We sound like we're in a studio or
I
something.
know.
That's impressive. I also sound very loud to myself. Does that matter?
Here, I can turn this
I
down
do
just.
not.
I can
All
turn
right,
it down
good.
just a hair.
Okay.
Don't get
All
fired
right.
out.
Maybe now you won't talk so loud so it bleeds in on Richie's mic.
Sorry, I would talk much softer now that I can hear myself like blowing
These
my
people
head
get
out.
headphones and we get jack shit.
Oklahoma. Yeah, I remember that now.
Okay. Well, here's what I think we're going to do. Let's start the podcast. Good evening, lunatics.
Good evening, lunatics.
Welcome to the end of the year roundtable. We've brought Richie and Phil in here, really against their will. They both whined and complained all day. Mainly Richie. Richie's been the whiniest one about having to be on the podcast, but you know, I'm here for internet gold, and I fully expect one Richie Matthews to deliver that to us.
I don't think we'll be disappointed.
Y'all might be canceled. Who knows?
Well, that's hey. Listen, 2023 has been a banner year for the company. We've been going through some numbers and looking at different things, and it's been a great year. I mean, every metric that you can measure the success of a trucking company, and every number's good. We're watching. Last I heard was like 450 carriers a day going out of business. And yet we have increased the size of our fleet. We've brought on more people. Our profits are good. Our rate per mile is good. Our cost per mile is good. Our fuel mileage is good. Everything's been great. Sometimes it would make you wonder if maybe some of these people would ask themselves the question, if they're doing good and I'm not, maybe I should do what they're doing.
No, we don't do that. Them guys are fucking lunatics. I'm not doing that.
Well, I don't even know where do you want to start?
Well, first of all, let's start with our sponsor.
Okay,
that'd be a good place to start.
Let me.
Why am I sounding weird all of a sudden?
Well, you sound off the mic.
Check.
There you go. You got to get up on the mic.
It blocks my face. I don't like my face blocked. Okay, I'm trying to show.
Listen, there's a lot of people that would like to see your face blocked. So
probably.
Well, go ahead and talk about our sponsor.
No, I think you should. You're our host, and
I did it last time.
I'm just the permanent color commentary guy. Okay, you're the play-by-play. I'll fill in if you screw up. Okay.
The Blue Ribbon Podcast is brought to you in part by Pittsburgh Power. We're stocking distributors of the OPS oil purification system and the max mileage fuel-borne catalyst. You can buy it on our website along with OPS, and we'll ship it to you. We have some exciting developments coming up in the first part of the year that we may be able to help you with the installs and stuff. So there'll be more to come on that. Our relationship with Pittsburgh Power goes back way before they ever wrote us any checks. We've run OPS since 2009. All of the Pittsburgh Power performance adding products we've used, mainly the damper and the balancer. We've bought the
muffler.
Yeah, well, the muffler,
fleet air filter,
and we've put the exhaust manifold on a couple of trucks.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing that Pittsburgh Power brings to the table is 50 years more of experience that Bruce has had. I was thinking about Bruce today because Bob Spooner is a guy that has like 1960 something model Peterbilt that who knows how many miles, millions of miles. He was in a really bad car accident this past week where a big truck had laid over on 80 and it was a blizzard. And I guess he hit that truck with his pickup truck, and he's in pretty bad shape. So it looks like he's pulling through. But Bruce has probably put 3 or 4 different engine combinations in that 60 model Peterbilt. I think it's a 62. But, they just have a wealth of knowledge when it comes to diesel engine and diesel performance. They have electrical engineers on staff. If they can't find it, it probably can't be fixed. We just sent an ECM up there that was had some gremlins, and they sent it back. It wasn't able to be fixed. But I don't think that cost us very much. But you can send ECMs, you can send trucks up there. So it's a full service shop, and we're glad to have them be a part of the podcast.
Absolutely. And then listen, if you guys call Pittsburgh Power to inquire about their products, please let them know that you heard about them here on the Blue Ribbon Podcast, because we appreciate them being a sponsor, and we'd like for them to continue on being a sponsor in 2024. So, and the only way we do that is if they see a return on their investment. So you guys call them and tell them you heard about them here, and that you like what you heard. So, all right. So anyway, we're here at the Wingate in Hurricane, West Virginia. This is where we do all of our training, as you guys who listen all the time know. And we're not training this weekend. We're just brought our management team together just for a little end of the year, kind of a wrap up, and working on some strategies for next year and things that we're going to change and things we want to do. So let me introduce some people to you, okay? So next to me in the plaid shirt is Richie Matthews. Y'all have heard us talk about Richie, I'm sure. Richie is been with us now for a couple of years. Came to us as a youngster. How old were you when you came, Richie? 22?
23.
23? Was a senior trainer, by the way, for one of the big fleets when he came here.
You're so fired for not having your phone on mute.
I'm doing it right now. That was my wife, and it's hard to mute that, okay? So, and she has no idea we're on the air. So Richie came to us from Omega Fleet, where he was as a senior trainer, and Richie has completed the program, and he now is in what we call extended stay. He has a paid-for lunatic truck. Richie's goal is to have 4 or 5 trucks on and become a fleet manager. And so at the current time, he is our assistant fleet manager to Chris. And so he's getting all the training and all the experience right now of managing trucks for us, preparing him for his venture into his own fleet at some point in time. So Richie, glad to have you. Richie is, I mean, y'all know you've heard me talk about him over and over again. Richie's one of the guys, came to us very young, and, we probably did some, we probably made some decisions about him that were premature, Chris and I. And
listen, some of them weren't premature. Some of them were right on the mark.
But Richie is a perfect example of showing you that you never know who's going to succeed in this program. We've had lots of people come here that we had high hopes for because of their background or their abilities or whatever, and to be disappointed. And then Richie comes here, and I mean, he just he has exceeded every expectation that we ever had, of him, and now he's worked himself up into a nice position here on the management team, and we're glad to have you, Richie. We certainly are glad that you're in the program, and we look forward to watching you continue to grow. Next to Richie is Phil, our platform division leader. Phil, of course, is a world-renowned platform and heavy haul guy at Landstar. He is the brains and all of the experience and everything behind our platform team, which has grown now to 3. We now have 3 different people in a platform division. We have a Conestoga, which we start newbies out in. We have a step deck, and then we have a flat. We're in the process of trying to add a couple more flats to our fleet. So we want to grow that part of our program because of people that want to get that experience. And Phil is, of course, the perfect person to teach that. So I noticed William Haynes, who is a former graduate of the program, has also contributed here. That Phil is a world-renowned beer drinker. I'd have to agree with that. But listen, everybody at this table is a world-renowned drinker in something. Okay, Chris likes these blue drinks that Amber makes for him. I'm a bourbon guy. And Richie's drinking whiskey rebellions. What kind of whiskey is it, Richie?
Jack Daniels.
That's not. Well, oh Jesus.
It's good stuff.
I still got to work on that. Okay, drinking that hot gut. Phil is a beer drinker, no question about it. Although it doesn't look like beer.
It's not. This is a whiskey sour.
A whiskey sour. Well, better get his comments early on because he'll be going.
I need another drink.
And Chris, what are you drinking? What is that over there?
Crown apple and cranberry.
All these guys here drinking these. That's Canadian whiskey. That's Tennessee rot gut. What's in yours?
You're gonna be disappointed.
I probably already am.
Black Label.
There we go.
My work is cut out
Walker
for me here,
Black Label.
guys. So anyway, well, welcome everybody. We're going to have a little roundtable tonight. We're just going to talk about things. We'll probably be willing to answer some of your all's questions. I will tell you this right now. I'm not going to be baited. I'm not going to be tempted. This is going to be a good night, okay? You're not going to piss me off and get me off the question. I'm not going to deal with some of this shit that you guys are already trying to get me to debate on. Not going to happen. So you're going
Jared, if you keep misspelling my name, I'm going to throw you out a window.
I misspell your name.
No, Jared is.
Oh, Jared. Okay.
Oh, he's they're putting an extra T
all
in
right.
there.
Why don't we do this? Let's let Richie talk. Okay, for a few minutes. Richie, just talk. It doesn't matter what you talk about. Just talk. Anything you want to talk about.
Well, ask him a question.
That's a good
Well,
start.
listen, congratulations. You own a truck now. So how's that feel?
Feels great. No truck payment. I do whatever I want to. I tell these agents what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
I'll take that.
Oh, here she comes.
Oh, Richie, listen. Richie, oh my goodness. So is we gonna introduce her?
She's been on the podcast before.
Yeah.
Well, listen.
Thank you, buddy.
Richie's better half, Amber, way better half, by the way,
Get behind me, Satan.
is here tonight. Okay. So where'd she go? Amber, come over here and stand behind Richie for a second. Let everybody see you. Amber is Richie's better half. I still have not figured out what it is that he has told her that's convinced her to hang out with him. But it's the biggest lie I've ever constructed, I'm quite sure. So, and then she's in here. She's in here contributing to his delinquency. I can see that. So,
Yeah.
remind you, when we were here for the live event, she contributed to Chris's delinquency with that blue drink that proceeded to have Chris rest his head on the microphone's windscreen. So,
yeah, Chris wasn't doing good.
Y'all look that up if you want to. But anyway, hi, Amber.
Hi.
Glad you're here.
Well, let's answer some questions. We've got a couple of questions.
No, ask Richie a question. We want Richie to talk.
I want to let him
Answer some
participate.
questions? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go for that.
How about this one? Because it'll be. I want to see how Richie responds to this.
Are we on YouTube or TikTok?
This is a YouTube comment from DL.
All right.
Why should someone buy a 2011 Freightliner with 900,000 miles on it for $25,000 to start their business or not? Thank you, Richie. 2011 Freightliner.
2011 is in that range of a bad emissions bullshit.
Yeah.
Where it's not all worked out. So you would not want to buy a 2011. I believe you would want a 2017 or newer or an 07 or older.
16 or newer.
16 and newer.
Yeah.
I thought
Very
17.
good.
25,000 for an 11 with 900. That sounds a little stronger to me anyway.
Y'all, there are 2020 and 21s selling for 25 and 30,000 right now.
Exactly. I don't think I'd do that anyway. I wouldn't buy it anyway because of the year, but I certainly would get $25,000 for it. So again, I think DL is trying to evoke emotion here or so. But anyway, well, talk to us about that. Why do you know that he shouldn't want to buy a 2011? Explain that.
Over the course of 3 years, listening to y'all and seeing the bullshit posts on Facebook about my truck's broke down, I'm gonna go out of business.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Because of emission issues.
And you said Richie wasn't articulate. Come on.
Yeah, well, and 25,000 just to get a truck in your possession of that age. Take the emissions and stuff out of it. You're talking about a 12-year-old truck. 25,000 just to get it.
This fucking lemon's
and then to have to put you're going to have to put some money in that truck to get it ready. The bushings are going to be shot. The shocks are going to be shot. It's probably going to be leaking oil all over the place. There's just money that you're going to have to spend. If you can get into a truck of that age for $5,000 or $10,000, that's just money, extra money that you've got to put into getting it ready.
But spend
to
the 25,000 and move up to 2016.
I was about to say, why 2011 specifically?
I wouldn't. Who knows? I mean, maybe he knows somebody that owns it or whatever. But yeah, we have a no-go period. It's 2008 through 2014-15. Those are not acceptable for us to purchase for any price because the emissions are too difficult to resolve. Prior to that, we don't have emissions except EGR, which is not an issue. There's no reason to delete a truck with EGR. Absolutely no reason. And then 2016, they've kind of got them resolved. You know, if you do what we do, do the diesel force cleaning, run the catalyst. We have two of these trucks. We have two of these catalysts. These Cascadias. That no, we don't. We just have one, don't we?
Have one.
We have 2 Cascaders or one?
We have 2.
We have 2. Okay. And we don't have any issues with them, right? We have
Right.
no emissions issues, 0. So the other problem with this is that 900,000 miles, this is probably a Cascadia. If the bottom end hasn't been done,
Yep.
That's going to be a huge issue. And it's probably an automatic, which means that split fork shifter thing is going to be a problem.
Yeah. Well,
So
we just
there's
found
just
out
lots
about
of
that.
issues about this that I would not recommend. So anyway.
Yeah. The Cascadia, as we've just found out, the DT12 transmission has a known issue with it's called a split pin that goes in the side of the transmission where the TCM connects, and that thing will freeze and stick. And it's a very simple repair. Once the transmission's on the ground, you have to pull the transmission to get to it. So, there's 8-9 hours of labor just to get the transmission out to do a 40-minute job to replace the split pin bushing. But the thing won't shift. Ours would only shift into even numbered gears. It wouldn't go into any of the. I'm sorry, it wouldn't go into any of the evens. It would only go odds. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, and then it wouldn't shift into 12. And we replaced the split pin, which was like $150 part. But God, what a nightmare to get to. Here's a Richie specific question. So when's Richie going to join the platform division?
I already responded to that.
Oh, you did?
I threatened him with violence.
Oh, you did? Okay. Well, I'm glad that was.
You'll be a man one day.
Evan, would a 2016 or newer truck for 15 be viable for a first-time owner operator? I would want that truck to be 10 or 12. Just because the 2020 and 21s right now are so cheap. I mean, think about that. A 2021 in 2022 was worth $160,000. They're selling for auction now at 30.
Well, let me point this out. If we can continue to find 99 to 07 C120s, that's always the best option.
100%.
We're doing the 2016 because it's getting harder and harder and harder to find those trucks. So that's like the second choice for us. Are always going to default to the 99 to 07 120 if it's there, if it's available, if the frame's in good shape, and if it's priced correctly. That's where we're going to recommend you go. Now, in the absence of that, and you have to do something else, then the 2016 with certain specifications and certain not modifications, but certain repairs to it, make it as reliable as we can make it. But it's still never going to be the same reliability as a 99 to 07 120 because at the end of the day, it still has DEF, still has DPF, still has SCR, still has all the one box, has all the problems. We just have been able to mitigate that by proper maintenance and some procedures to correct what's been done to it before you bought it. So that makes sense.
Yeah, because you're going to have to spend, probably at the I'd say the median is going to be $15,000 to $20,000 to get a truck ready to haul freight. So if you bought a $10,000 2007, you're going to spend 15 or 20 grand. If you buy a 2016, you're going to spend 15 or 20 grand. That spread between 07 and 16 is going to be $10,000 or $15,000, and you're really not getting that much better of a truck. It would be one thing if it was like, oh, well, look at how much better a truck I'm getting. Well, you're really not. I was talking to, I went up to Marietta, Ohio yesterday to buy some super single wheels off a guy. And I noticed on his Facebook marketplace, you go close that door. On his Facebook marketplace that he had a truck that it had listed 51 weeks ago. It's an 07 Century. And I said, I hated to use, hey, is this still available? Because I know how much people hate that. But I said, is that truck still around? And he said, yeah. So I picked up the wheels and went over and looked at it. I walked around it, and what I saw was pretty good bones. It had atro polyurethane spring bushings in it, which was surprising. You don't see that unless you're around the lunatics. To see atro polyurethane bushings, people don't put those in by accident.
Huh. No.
Or if they do put them in by accident, it's a miracle. And so I talked to the guy, and he said, "Yeah, it's a guy that's leased on here, and he drove it for a while, and then of course he got a hard on for a big Kenworth long hood."
You
So
can't say hard on.
Oh,
You
well,
gotta say erection.
I just did. So he parks it, and they had just put a new EGR valve on it, new EGR cooler.
Don't tell them this. They'll be wanting to try to find it.
Well, they won't find it.
For
sensor harness.
$15,000, I'll tell you where it is. Okay.
Right. So anyway, it did a bunch of work to it and parked it. But as I walked around it, I'm like, I would pay $10,000 or $15,000 for this truck. Now he's like, "Do you want to hear it run?" And I'm like, "Yeah." I said, "When was the last time it ran?" He was like, "About a year ago." And I'm like, "Well, this is going to take a miracle from Jesus for this thing to start." And we messed around with it a while. Man, they had jump packs and jumper cables and batteries and shit hooked up to this truck. And we proceeded to burn the starter out of it. So the starter left the chat after about 15 minutes. So he said he's going to put a starter in it and fire it up for me. But the thing about that truck versus a Cascadia, if everything else was equal, that that Century has fuses, relays, and switches. There's no module that turns on the damn headlights. There's no module that turns on the interior lights. There's no CPC. There's no PNDB. There's no things that have nothing to do with the truck going in gear and going down the road that can cause you to be on the side of the road because your lights don't work and it's $1,000 module. Well, if the headlights don't work on a Century or Columbia, it's a wire, a fuse, a switch, or a relay. That's the kind of shit you can carry in your side box. I'm not going to be carrying $1,000 or $2,000 module that's been on back order for 27 weeks that the Freightliner dealer probably has on the shelf, but they don't know that they have on the shelf. All they know how to do is say, "Well, sorry, man, it's on national back order."
Now, I'm going to have to intervene here, okay? Because we always do this.
Mm-hmm.
And people think that we're trying to tell them how to run a trucking business. I mean, let me restate this, okay? You have to understand our intended market is the person buying their first truck and becoming an owner operator for the first time. So we are not trying to tell you if you're an established trucking business and you're successful and you're doing this and you've got a 2022, big ARI sleeper truck, that's not the way to do it. That's fine if that works in your successful trucking operation. What we're trying to do is keep people from buying these trucks as their first truck and not be able to stay in business because they don't understand the unexpected, quote, air quotes here, catastrophic failure is going to come with that. So by doing the things that we talk about, we mitigate the risk, we lower the risk to the point where it's manageable. And then if you do have the problem, you survive it because it's like you say, it's a fuse, it's this, it's that. It's not a CPC that you can't get and it costs thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
So and let me tell you something, okay? The people whose freight you haul, they could care less.
Mm-mm.
And at the end of the day, that's what we're here to do, is to haul freight and serve customers. The only person that cares about what your truck looks like is you and other people that you're trying to impress that you don't like anyway. So that's not the reason to do it. And we're not trying to tell people who are established trucking businesses how to run their business. That's not what we do here. We're trying to get people who are doing this for the first time to try a different approach that is less risky so that you can afford to stay in business. So anyway, I have to say that every night because we get all the haters on here. They go, "Well, there's not more than one way to run a trucking company." There is, but there's only one way to start out and mitigate the risk, and that's doing the lunatic version. So
let me use that to segue into DL's comment here. What's the best truck that I can buy for $25K if I want an automatic? I have a limited budget. Are there any 2009 or older Freightliner trucks with an automatic? Okay,
there are.
there are. All right.
Why
So
do
what
you
you have
want-
to understand is the first automatic I drove was in 2000. Eaton came out with the Eaton Auto Shift. It was basically an electronically controlled Super 10. And it had an XY shifter on the side of the truck, or I'm sorry, on the side of the transmission. And they worked pretty well. You know, it was just a 10-speed with a clutch. The problem was the issues that those trucks had was always about the electronics, the XY shifter going bad. Now, those transmissions are convertible. You can take a auto shift 10-speed with a 3-pedal, meaning you have a clutch, brake, and gas, and you could convert those over to a manual. Well, then, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in, they started coming in with the clutchless or clutch pedal-less automatics, where it had the clutch that was engaged by an actuator and more electronics and more computer control. And they were really, really problematic. Now, I will give Detroit especially, and I hear Volvo's is pretty good as well. The Detroit DT12 is a really good transmission. And I've heard that the Volvo iShift is a very good transmission. And like anything with preventive maintenance and care, they'll last a long time. But everything about getting into your first truck and managing to stay in business is about managing risk. Okay. So let's run 2 scenarios. Scenario number 1 is you want an automatic transmission because you have a automatic restriction. Well, there are ways to get rid of that restriction. And I would spend $5,000 to get rid of that restriction and learn how to drive a manual, because I can put a clutch in Richie's truck for $2,500. Putting a clutch in a in a Cascadia with a DT12 is $6,500. Okay. Plus the tow bill.
Or more. It depends on if you have to put that shifter
Right.
split
Well,
thing in there.
and let me just side note, if you're driving a truck with a DT12 and the transmission hits the ground, you better damn sure make somebody's checking that and see if it has that split pin bushing in it, because it literally takes 40 minutes. I watched a guy do it on YouTube in 40 minutes, and that was with him slowing down to show every step of the process. So and we're going to do that with the shop. If a DT12 comes in and it hits the ground, we're checking that split pin bushing to make sure, because for $100 and 40 minutes, it's an absolute no brainer. Because we paid $6,500 to put a clutch in a truck, and then the damn thing wouldn't shift. And then we had to pull the transmission back out to put the split pin bushing in. Okay. Now,
You know,
hang on a minute.
Okay,
On
sure.
the other scenario, maybe you have a physical limitation and you can only drive them automatic because
Right,
you have a
that's what I was
physical
gonna say.
limitation. Well, that's a different story.
Yeah.
I would still stay away from the pre-2016 because, like with the emissions, they just got better and better and better. We know, and you can go to our website, blueribbonlogistics.com/truck, and you can find a list of everything that we would do to a truck. Now, this is considering a lunatic truck, 99 to 07. And this is everything that we would do. It's bushings and springs and and shocks and OPS, all the different things that we would do. And we know that we can do that for 15 or 20 grand. There is another, and I guess I'll make another list. Maybe I'll make it truck 2 or whatever. But if it's going to be that 2016, it's a Cascadia with a DD15. It's got 800,000 miles. You got to get ready to put the bottom end of the motor, bearings, oil pump manifold, pickup tubes, because if when that stuff starts to go bad, it junks the motor, and that's a $30,000 in frame on a DD15 if you don't spin a bearing and turn the block into a boat anchor. You've got emissions cleaning that you've got to deal with, right? There's all of the things that we are going to do to a truck anyway, and another $5,000 or $10,000. So you have, where's that money going to come from? So it's a newer truck. It's more desirable for truck drivers. So that drives the price up compared to a lunatic truck, because truck drivers are pussies, sissies, pansies. Sorry.
There goes our community standards again.
Yeah.
We didn't have many to begin with.
Yeah. Our community
We lost
standards.
those when Richie came on here.
So truck drivers are, such candy asses. You gotta put wax paper on the seat so their butts don't stick to it. And so that, so you just got to figure, well, we tell you that if you want a lunatic truck, 99 to 07, you need to have 40 grand to acquire it, to prepare it, to get it ready to go on the road. And at this point, the Cascadias have just another year or two, right? Another year or two, and they're going to start falling down into that range where we can pick them up for 10 or 15 grand. Well, then it balances the scales. It balances it out to where I can take my acquisition money with my rehab money and still be in that $40,000 number.
I was going to say that unless you have an auto restriction or a physical reason for needing an automatic transmission, again, we're all about lowering risk here, all about mitigating risk, eliminating as much risk as possible. An automatic transmission adds layers and layers and layers of risk to the situation. So if you don't have to have that, don't do it, because they're expensive to work on. They're hard to diagnose. It just complicates the process. Okay. And they're much more expensive to work on than a manual. I mean, you can go 1.5 million miles on a manual transmission if you take care of it. I put 1.5 million miles on a clutch. Okay. I only had to change the clutch and I put a driver in the truck. Okay.
Yeah. Listen, if you want to test the strength and the fortitude of your clutch, put a driver in it.
Right.
Now you're running a 16, 18. So Phil's running. Well, tell us about your truck.
I have a 2015 Pro Star, which is, right in that area where you guys don't like to.
What year? What year is it?
2015.
What's on the edge?
Well, it's got a 2013 engine in it. That's what was put in it from the factory.
Phil, you're fucked.
We all knew that. I mean, let's just be honest. But if you look at the engine data plate on it, it was actually manufactured in 13.
I got you.
International apparently didn't put too many 500 horsepower Cummins in a Pro Star back then.
Right.
So this thing probably sat on shelf for a year or better before they throwed it in this truck.
Right.
But it has an 18-speed transmission, and I have replaced the clutch in that at the Kenworth dealer in Mankato, Minnesota. It's been nearly 2 years ago. So we replaced the clutch in this truck.
I've been to Mankato, Minnesota.
Have you?
I have.
It's cold as shit up there in the wintertime. So it cost me to replace the clutch and do the rear main seal on that truck. Well, actually, the whole rear structure on it. It's not just the rear main. It was right at 10 grand.
Holy shit! Yeah. Now you're talking about a guy here that hauls freight, and his freight bills are like $100,000. Okay, so that's nothing to him. Don't feel sorry. Don't get compassionate for Phil. Okay, the kind of shit he hauls, he can pay. He leaves that much money in the seat of his truck every week or so.
If I had Phil's money, I'd burn mine.
I'd throw mine away. Absolutely.
Like what, 80 years?
Yeah, 60. Anyway, they're all delusional. They're drunks. I don't know what's wrong with them.
Says the guy with two glasses in front of him.
Two. There's only one.
Well, so the specs,
but again, let me
wait
go.
a minute. I want to hear this.
No. Wait. How long you been trucking?
I started driving. I got my license in April of 2007.
How long you been owner operator?
Since December 2010.
Okay, so this is 2023. He's been owner 13 years. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I go back to what I said before. I'm not trying to tell experienced people how to run their business. I'm trying to keep people from fucking up that are buying their first truck and doing this for the first time.
One more time. The first time owner operator, right, Larry?
Exactly. First time owner operator on their first truck.
And what was your first truck?
052 was a 2002 Columbia with a 13-speed 12.7 Detroit.
And he wasn't a
No
lunatic
emission.
back then because we didn't know him.
Hey, that
Yeah.
truck was at one point it was the highest earning truck here. I
It
think
was.
Yeah.
It was. It was.
Yeah. So
I'm
I made a
gonna
lot of
stop.
money with that
I got to
truck.
stop for a production note real quick. I want you to unclip that from your thing and take that little thing and turn it 90 degrees.
What's he doing?
Turn that clip 90 degrees so that it would clip on the other side of your.
Oh, shit.
Because
You're
it's
throwing people off with this 90-degree bullshit. I don't know what that is.
shut up.
Do you know the problem with having an iPad and
The better?
and
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
Your shirt was blocking it just a little bit.
Oh.
I'm trying to ask you a question.
Yeah.
The problem with having an iPad and a MacBook in front of you is that one of them's a touch screen and one of them's not.
Yeah.
If you get it screwed up, you're touching something that doesn't work, and
Right. Well, okay. So go back.
that's
so
a lot funner to me than what I am.
the specs on your truck specifically, because it's a specialized unit. So it's a 2018.
15.
I'm sorry, 2015 ProStar
Yes.
ISX,
ISX 500.
18-speed transmission.
Yes.
Your 4-axle,
That's correct.
double frame.
No, it has the heavier frame on it.
So
from
it's got the heavy
factory.
frame on it.
Yeah.
And what's the rears?
Rears in that truck are 342s.
342s.
Which is not really the best
No,
rears for doing
wouldn't
heavy
be.
stuff.
Here's where I'm going with this, because I know what you paid for that truck, right?
Mhm.
Okay. So in the grand scheme of things, you can buy a truck and you can buy it right if you're patient,
That's correct.
right?
Yes.
Because you bought that truck when?
I bought that truck on March 11th of 2020.
Which was right before shit went crazy.
it was
Yeah.
a week before shit went crazy because we were going to
Oh,
the truck
yeah.
show that week.
Right.
The
So
following week. This is the week that
so this is 5 days before 15
5
days of
days
slow spread.
before the
Yeah. So you bought this truck. You care to say what you paid for it? All right.
Yeah. I think it was
40?
between 42 and 43.
Yeah, I was
I
thinking.
don't remember the exact number, but yeah, I mean, I had to put like a new seat in it or something like that, which, obviously was run the cost up a little bit.
Right.
But other than that, I mean, it was between 42 and 43,000. The truck had 405,000 miles on it when I bought it.
Right. So here's at this point a 4-year-old truck, specialized truck, 4-axle, capable of hauling, what will it do?
Well, it
100
depends on what setup you got, what kind of trailer you have. So,
But what do you think if you put a 4-axle trailer or whatever behind it, 150, 180,000?
4-axle trailer, let's see, that's 80,000 on the trailer, 60, 72 on the truck. So was that 152,000?
Yeah. Okay. So this is a truck capable of making money that van trucks can't dream of. Okay. You get into it for $43,000 or so, 400,000 miles. It ain't hurt. Okay. You started in a 2002, right? And had run it, and then you had the 06.
06, yep.
Yeah.
Which
But-
used to be a 4-axle.
Right. So I'm gonna come back to that. But you get this truck in a great deal, but it's not the first truck you bought, right? This is a truck that you recognize could do the specific thing you needed it to do,
Yes.
right? Which matched your specific qualifications that you had earned over time,
Absolutely.
right? And that's what we're trying to get y'all to. There's a bunch of y'all clowns that hear Landstar and think about some broker or some agent that you've seen on a broker board somewhere, and you've judged the whole of Landstar. Now, listen, that's Landstar's marketing problem. That's Landstar's PR problem to deal with. Okay. But let me promise y'all, hear me clearly. There's freight at Landstar that y'all jokers could not even dream of, and he pulls most of it.
Cheers.
Now, roll back to, because I know I've heard parts and bits and pieces of the story. Was the black Freightliner going to 4 axles? how did that stair step from running the 2002 to being in the 2015?
Well, I bought the 2006 Freightliner, which is 672 and blue ribbon now. It was a 4-axle when I bought it,
Mhm.
in which it had the 14, what is it, 14 liter?
Yeah.
Detroit with a 18-speed transmission. Then I bought it off of one of the guys that he was more or less one of my. Actually, him and I went through orientation together at Landstar, and he had a background in heavy haul at the time, and he came to Landstar, pulled a van, and I whooped his ass all over the place pulling a van because I was making more than him. So he got tired of it and decided he was going to go do platforms. So he talked me into coming over here, and he taught me a lot of everything he didn't teach me everything I know, but he taught me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, he bought that truck down in Florida from one of the Freightliner dealers down there. So that truck's actually been in the Landstar system since 2010. But I bought it from him. He had done, made it into a 4-axle truck, put the 18-speed transmission in it, and he did a couple of other things to it. And then he went and bought a brand new Peterbilt truck. And so when he did that, I bought that one from him, and I stepped my game up and started doing heavier stuff with the truck.
So at that point, that truck was about moving up to the next notch.
Absolutely.
I need another axle. I need an 18-speed.
And I can promise you one thing: it's not the first Columbia or Century class that's ever been made into a 4-axle truck. There's been that's been done several times.
That truck started its life as a prime truck, right?
That is correct. It was a prime truck. It had a 10-speed transmission in it to begin
So,
with.
So here's a prime truck that gets turned into a 4-axle heavy haul truck. So here's where I'm coming around to. Was jumping from your 2002 to this ProStar too big of a leap? Was that in between necessary for you at the time in your business? Or do you think you could have, if that same truck that you have now would have existed then, do you think you could have known, hey, I should go this way rather than that? Because that truck he's talking about is now back to 3 axles, and it's pulling a Conestoga, but it's nowhere near, being what it was.
I wouldn't have bought the ProStars in my second truck simply because, number one, when I can't remember what year I bought that 672, the one we're talking about that was the 4-axle Freightliner. I don't remember what year I bought it, but I didn't know enough about the emissions on the newer trucks back then. I was still learning a lot about it, and I would have never bought that truck back then. The only reason I ever wound up with buying 052 to begin with was because it was what I drove. It was the same truck I was driving as a company driver. That's what I went with.
Broadcast note: he's using the last 3 numbers of our truck numbers, and that's how we talk about these trucks. So
yeah, so I was basically going with what I already knew. That's why I bought, the first Freightliner. The second one obviously was Century, same thing, right?
Yeah,
it's just 4 axles. So here we go again. I bought the ProStar. Well, number one, I mean, dude, if I know what I know now, I'd have bought every damn one of those things I could have got my hands on. Because at one point, I think it was in about the middle of 22 or something like that, there was somebody that had one of those trucks on there for like double or triple what I paid for it.
I tried to get you to sell it, buy you 2 more.
Yeah.
We talked about Richie and how he got here. We haven't talked about how Phil got here.
Yeah, not in detail.
No, we haven't.
I've known you said you came in 13 to Landstar. No,
I started in 2010. I actually went to orientation in December 2010, and I don't think I pulled my first load until after the first year, which was January 2011.
Okay, so you were starting Landstar about the time I was starting with Anderson in January of 2011. So you came to Landstar in 11 with that 2002 Columbia. Had you had it leased anywhere else?
No, I bought it in November and leased it on in December.
Here's a note. How much do you pay for that truck?
Oh, I think it was like $15,500 or something like that.
Okay, I want everybody to take note. He bought a truck that is in our fleet today 13. Well, are we 13 years now?
Yeah, 13. Yeah.
Okay. 13 years ago, he bought a truck that we have in our fleet today for $15,000. And as soon as its motor is put back together, we're putting a motor in it right now, doing an in frame. But y'all, all of y'all that want to whine, even, those old trucks will be broke down all the time. He bought it for $15,000 13 years ago. Need I say more?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what it did this year?
What did it do this year?
I'm looking. Just give me a second.
It's a pretty good number.
So you've done well over what, 1.5 million?
I couldn't even tell you how many miles I put on that truck.
Okay, this year in our program, come on, open. It was. I'm looking here. It pretty much ran all year.
Yeah, it's only been down.
Well,
I don't know.
I take that back. It was down 3. It was down most of the second quarter. We didn't have a driver in it.
Yeah.
It was down another time for about 4 weeks in the third. So it's probably, let me look here. It's 1, 2, 3, and then 10. That's 13, and then for 7. So it's down for 17 weeks.
Okay.
Truck did $221,000.
And this was the driver that had the highest gross in 21 was driving that truck. So, I mean, of course, you don't have your QuickBooks open because you're on your.
I don't have it here.
I'd love to know.
I have it on the other one. But I can't
I'd love
remember.
to know what the full gross from the time we brought it in. We brought that truck here in November of 20. So we're now in December of 23. So we've had it 3 full years.
Right.
I would not hesitate to say that this truck has done.
This will be the worst of the 3 years because of.
I bet you that truck has done $700,000.
Oh, absolutely.
Easy.
Absolutely. Probably because.
And that's just since we've
probably
had
closer to 8.
That
Because in 2021 that would have rocked.
But you can't make money with these old trucks.
Right. Yeah, and they cost too much to operate.
yeah.
So let's talk about how Phil got here. Okay. So
the blue ribbon.
Blue ribbon. So we we had a situation in, was it 2019? Is that what it was?
2020.
2020.
End of 2020 when you came up with this idea that I thought was stupid.
So we had a situation in 2020 where we were the podcast was catching on. The recruiting aspect of it, which we did not expect at all, was starting to show itself, manifest itself. And we had all these people that wanted to drive. We didn't have any trucks, and it wasn't a good time to buy trucks, and I wasn't looking at adding a lot more trucks to the inventory. I thought, well, I'm looking on Facebook all the time. I see these Landstar BCOs are all bitching and moaning and begging people to drive trucks that they've got sitting with weeds growing around them.
And they're broke.
And I thought to myself, well, wait a minute. I've got drivers that I can't put in trucks. And all these other, guys have got trucks that they can't keep drivers. Now, there's a reason why they can't keep drivers, but we'll talk about that again some other time. But the fact is they had trucks that were sitting with weeds growing around them that they didn't have drivers. And I had drivers that I didn't have trucks for. So I got this idea. And at the time, Landstar would not allow you to self-promote. And I knew that because I'd tried it before and they'd always, cut my stuff down. So on Friday afternoon at 6:00, sometime in October of 2020,
right,
I made up an ad and you thought I was nuts. Okay.
100%.
I don't think I told you about it before I put the ad out.
No, hell no, he didn't. He called me and told me about it. I said, it's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. That'll never work.
Yeah. Well, now you know why.
That's why he's on that side of the table and I'm on this side.
So anyway, I put this ad. It wasn't really an ad. It was just like a letter. It was a letter to BCOs. Hey, if you've got trucks that you cannot keep drivers in, call me. I've got a deal for you. We'll share in the expenses and we'll provide it, or we'll manage the truck for you and split the profit. Well, I had about 6 or 7 guys that responded. Phil was one of them. We ended up selecting about 4 of them to do business with, of which we only have, we kept 2 of them. Now, one of them is not here now, but not because we don't want to do business with him. That's Rocky. He just decided to sell his truck. But Phil was the other one, and Phil brought that black truck we're talking about here. White truck, which was 052, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He drives it from Alabama to my house. Okay. leaves it at my house, right?
Yep.
Little did you know.
How did you get back home, by the way, from there?
You took me to Enterprise or somewhere.
I
rented a
did.
car,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So, and then I brought the truck up to West Virginia, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So Phil brought what we call 052, which is a 2006,
2002.
2002.
Yep.
Okay. And did that truck? That was high gross truck that year, wasn't it? We have an
In
awards.
21.
We have
Yeah.
an awards banquet every year at the truck show, and Phil was truck owner of the year, right?
I bet you that truck did every bit of 350,000.
And that was with Tom. Is that
Mhm.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
Which was high gross driver.
Well,
that
Carrie
year.
drove it some that year
Yeah,
too.
Carrie drove it a little bit.
Because she
Yeah.
called it Millie, right?
No, that was the other truck.
Okay. Well,
Carrie
anyway,
there's a long list of names Carrie gave for
yeah.
trucks.
So anyway, so now he brings another truck on, which is the black truck, right?
that's
Well,
Because
wait-
it's 4-axle.
Well, pause for a second, because what I want to go back to, you found the ad,
Yes.
which obviously got your attention and intrigued you,
Right.
Right.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. because I want to walk him to a specific point.
Okay.
So you see the ad, what's your first reaction?
It was well written.
Thank you very much. Sleeping with an English teacher pays
yeah,
off,
listen,
right?
the English teacher deserves the credit for
I
that.
see so many ads on Facebook, whether it be on, anything to do with trucking or not. But I see a lot of things on there. They're so poorly written that even if I was interested in whatever they're selling,
Right.
I would never respond to it because it's obvious that they're fucking idiots.
Now I got to give credit where credit's due here. Phil is an excellent writer. My wife is an English teacher. Okay, she teaches English literature and writing. Okay, Phil has submitted things to her before for her to proof and whatnot, and she I don't know if you told me, but she compliments Phil on his writing. I mean, you think a guy from Alabama, by a half-ass redneck, but she tell Anna to make me another one of these. But she was very confident. I mean, and I tell you what, I mean, Phil, he just blew me away with his command of the English language. But anyway, I thank you for your
I can't wait to
there,
get
but-
to the first phone call with him because it was terrifying. But go ahead.
Well, no, go ahead. Yeah, I'm done. I was just
So Larry brings the truck, right? And at this time, the procedure is we're going to turn Carl loose on it, right?
correct.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Well, this is subject to Carl's inspection.
Approval, exactly.
So we
exactly.
drop it off at the TA in Hurricane, and Carl comes back with a list. I don't think it was crazy. But well, this may, hey man, what you gonna do about this and this and that? And I said, I don't know. I'm not the owner.
All right. And we're
so-
all new at this because we had, like I said, we had four guys. We had
Which-
four
Which
trucks.
honestly, one thing that terrified me about your idea is I've been around a handful of BCOs.
Right.
I'm thinking there's no fucking way that one of these knuckleheads is going to give us a truck and not be the biggest pain in the ass. It's
all
ever
two
been.
of them were,
What that's
which
true.
is why we fired them.
Right.
So
What I want to hear from you is because that was part of the deal, right? The Carl had to inspect the truck and make sure it was good.
Yeah.
So do you remember that call of, hey, Carl has said it needs this, that, and the other?
Hell yeah, I remember that call.
Yeah, I need to hear about that.
I was in my basement. I don't remember. I was working on something. I was piddling around doing something, and you'd called me and was talking to me. And first, I'm like, you called and told me who you were and all this stuff. I think that might have been the first time you and I had ever talked.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here like I knew who you were, but I didn't know exactly what your role was. I guess I didn't put two and two together or something. But,
Right.
he didn't know his role at that time.
Well,
okay?
I didn't have much.
Either
He's
way.
not sure he knows it right now. By the way.
Yeah.
Well, either way, I was like, well, what the hell is this about? You start naming off all this shit that Carl finds wrong. With
And
this
who's
thing.
Carl, right? Who the hell is this
that's
Carl
what I was
guy?
thinking. Who the hell is Carl?
Who the
Like,
fuck is
I'm ready
Carl?
to come to West Virginia and just, find Carl.
Right.
Like,
Because he tells me all this stuff he did to it when he dropped it off. I've done this, I've done that. You did a bunch of brake work to it, and the brake hoses were cut short. You remember that?
I
Yeah.
did a shit ton of stuff
Yeah.
with that truck.
He's like, I just did all this work to it, and Carl's finding all this problem with it. I'm like, buddy, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
If Carl says it's bad, it's bad. Okay. I don't know if he believed that at the time, but
Well, here's the thing. If I hadn't have believed it, I probably wouldn't be here now. Because the thing about it is, I've been around enough shops and I've been around this industry enough to know that I know there's not a single mechanic out there that's going to find everything wrong with the truck. And to be honest, you can go pick out any truck.
Oh no, there's a single mechanic.
Well,
that can find
other
it
than
all.
Carl, other than the one you guys hired to look at the damn truck.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's something wrong with every one of them. DOT can go to every damn truck and find something wrong with it.
Can you imagine the guy coming up and driving his truck to my house and leaving it with me, and just taking a rental car and going back home and trusting me with that truck? I mean, that was a huge step of leap of faith,
Yeah. Well, I remember we had a it wasn't an angry conversation, but
you and I?
No, me and him.
Oh, okay.
I think it was the first time because Larry was supposed to be truck owner relations. Supposed to be.
Boy, he dropped the ball on that.
I'm still truck owner relations. Yeah.
Okay. And something had happened. I think it was the damn the lights. The inside lights. Remember on that truck? The inside lights only work if you turn the accessory on the key. Which I thought would, because if you don't have the accessory turned on, you have no interior lights. Well, I turned Carl loose on it.
Right.
I'm thinking, well, this is completely acceptable reason to turn the greatest diagnostician in the history of mankind loose on this truck, and no matter what it costs. And I called him, and he said, "What the fuck you say?" And I was like, what the hell do you mean? And I'm like, oh gosh, I'm in trouble. But we worked it out.
Let's talk about how he got to where he is right now as our platform guy. Can you all talk through that process? Because I don't remember how it happened. I mean, y'all.
No, it was Byron. We had a guy that was coming, that was interested in heavy haul. We knew
he had experience already.
And we asked Phil, because the deal was that you have to run a van first.
Right.
That's kind of part of the deal. Pulling a van in our program is blocking and tackling, especially if you don't have any prior flatbed experience. We're not going to try to make you learn more than one thing at a time. You're here to learn business. You can do that a much easier pulling a van than if you're trying to learn platform and all that. So the Byron had come, and he was like, man, I want to come to Landstar. I want to do heavy haul. And we're like, okay, great. That's fine. But you're going to do van first.
Right.
And what trailer was it? Oh, it was your buddy's trailer.
Yeah. It was was that a
two-axle
or 3-axle?
It was a 3-axle. Yeah.
It was a heavy trailer.
The wrong trailer for what we do.
Yes.
We found that shit out the hard way.
Yeah.
But the trailer became available, and Rocky's truck was a classic, and it just wasn't well suited for pulling a van. I was driving it, and I was really the only one that could drive it and pull a van with it and get in all the tight places. And we thought, okay, well, here's Byron, and he wants to learn, and he's done a pretty good job with the other stuff, pulling a van, and Phil's got this trailer, and Byron really wants to do high, wide, and heavy, and
he had experience.
So Phil wasn't have to start with somebody brand new, and Phil's like, okay, well, I'll dispatch him, which worked great until he ran 2 stop signs and T-boned a pickup truck. Never gonna let you live
flashing stop signs.
Never gonna let you live that one down, brother.
Flashing stop signs.
So that was over. I got to make sure he's muted in case he goes to the bathroom with that microphone on.
So that started the process. Then.
That kind of started.
That opened the door, and we kind of went from there.
And then we got the Conestoga, right? The Conestoga came along.
But that was after we'd already established
I know.
At that point in time, we had accepted Phil, and he was going to be the platform.
Phil,
guy. He accepted
Phil came
that
in. But then we didn't have anything to
we didn't
have anything for him to do. And this Conestoga came along.
Right.
And we're like, oh, hey, well, what do you think about
And that
this?
was good for us because it transitions people from van to platform easily. They don't have to tarp. Some of the van freight can be hauled on Conestogas. It was a good stepping stone from van to platform, right?
Yeah. And that Conestoga is as along with the 53 flatbed are money printing machines.
Oh yeah.
My gosh. So
Rocky's busting your ass for false advertising AP.
Hey, I put it.
We corrected that, Rocky. You just didn't see it.
Well, listen,
Hey, Rocky, while I've got your attention, I texted him. We are okay. So you do need to make a reservation where we talked about. Okay, so.
Let me hit Joe Christie on TikTok. Shout out to Joe. Back to the automatic thing for just a second. The pre-16 automatic trucks don't have that creep mode.
That's true. We found that out, right?
Well, we found that shit out.
Oh shit! Yeah. And they also slam against the dock, don't they?
Yeah, the dock slammer 9000. Yeah. That was awful. Jason, this is hilarious. My Pete burns 2 to 3 gallons of oil a day and sat most of the year for my medical reasons and still made $80,000.
There you go. There you go.
That's my man right there. Let's see. Let me kind of look at these comments real quick.
Well, let me talk to Joe a second. Joe, I appreciate what you're saying here, but I got to correct you here. The only way to improve profits in this industry is to lower your bottom line. That's not true. You want to increase your bottom line. You want to lower your expenses, which will increase your bottom line. But I get what you're saying. I can't let that go by.
Evan, question for Richie.
Yeah.
Richie, did you ever plan to be where you are now a year or two ago?
Is this YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay.
When and how did you come to want to dispatch?
No, we were just talking about that. When I went through orientation, Larry specifically said he is not having anyone else hired on. He doesn't need anybody. And that was that. We were here to learn how to be an owner operator and get out pretty much.
Dude, you just blew your nose on the internet.
Damn.
And it was gross.
No, that was disrespectful.
Well, it was
Someone
gross.
put that on TikTok.
It was muted for them, not for you.
Okay. Well, it was horrible, by the way. So go ahead. I'm sorry, Rich. You jump in there. I'm sorry.
The answer is no. I didn't think. I figured I'd go and.
Well, when you came here, when you came here, of course you're young, okay, and I was so excited because you're 23 years old. All right, I'm thinking back. If I had somebody that pulled me aside at 23 and said, "Look, son of a bitch, if you'll listen to me, I'll make you a gillionaire." And I'm thinking, you have all these advantages that no one has because of your age. You have the advantage of time. Time is the maker of millionaires. Okay, time is the compound interest, the magic that. I probably put a lot of pressure on you. I know because at the awards I've kind of said, you're the gillionaire of the future. But your age is your advantage. Your income is your ticket. And if you keep the two of those together and understand that it only takes a little bit of money now to have a lot of money then because of your age.
Right.
Anyway, getting off the subject. But I probably put a lot of pressure on him because I thought, Richie,
I put a lot of pressure on him when I put my foot up his ass.
When I
72 times.
Well, just shucking and jiving with him. He's a young guy. He likes smoke dope and fish and all that kind of stuff. I'm thinking, he's probably just going to want to drive a truck and do this thing. He said no. He said no. He said I want to own 5 trucks and I want to dispatch because I thought he'd want to buy 5 trucks and go home and smoke dope. But no, he wants to dispatch him. That blew me away.
No, I still want to smoke weed, but don't get it wrong.
All you got to do is give it your CDL, okay? For the record, okay? I turned 70 on November 30th, okay? I've been kicking this around for a long time. I haven't driven a truck since December of 2019. So I called Landstar this week and told them that I was going to rescind my driving qualifications at Landstar. I'm no longer a qualified Landstar driver. Y'all can hate all you want to, but fuck y'all, okay? So Now, when I was up, when I'm
Wish I had some sad music.
Never
to play.
mind it. Never mind. So anyway, all you gotta do is just give up your. If you're at home dispatching trucks and you got 5 in the fleet and you're dispatching a bunch of trucks, you don't have to worry about driving anymore, okay, brother? So just so you know, all right.
Hey, I want some commentary on that day that he quit driving.
Me?
Yeah,
Okay,
you-
I quit driving.
Yeah, because I picked your truck up at your house. I think I rented a car
You
out
did?
there. Yeah,
Okay.
and I come out there to pick up 215. I've never drove it. I've seen it, but at this point I've never driven this truck. And
Which
this
truck
is
was
his
215?
419-215 was my truck number.
yeah, his green truck.
The
original Metro.
Homosexual?
the
Or
2007
Metro.
Metro.
2007 metrosexual, not homosexual.
Oh,
Fuck you, Richie.
the one that was driving.
That's right. That's right.
Metro. Only because it doesn't have any Jake brake, okay?
Oh
It's-
God.
I mean, come on, it's a Mercedes motor.
Okay, let me get back to my story, please.
No shit. Go ahead. Please hurry, okay?
So I go over
Call
there.
my truck a homosexual.
So I go over there to pick the truck up, and I'm going to start driving. It's going to be my truck, and
It was going to be your truck?
Well, it's going to be my truck to drive. It was my, I was getting in this truck. to
I don't
drive.
remember that.
Yeah, I drove it for most of 2020.
You drove my truck in 2020?
Yeah, I made
How many you had to drink?
the famous 35% of my money video doing Windcore in that
right,
truck.
You did. You did.
So yeah, I drove that truck for a long time. So anyway, I go to pick it
How'd
up.
you like
This
that
is
truck, by the
the
way?
this is the holy grail of Blue Ribbon. Is this truck right?
Yeah. Flagship was the word
The
I used.
the flagship of this fleet.
Yes.
I can barely hold the son of a bitch in the road. I mean, the wheels this way and that way, and he goes, yeah, we might need to put a steering box in it at some point. It seems to got a little. I'm like this and like that. And I'm like, holy, and I'm bobtail. I don't even have a damn trailer. I can't hold the son of a
I
bitch in the
drive
road.
this truck 3,500 miles a week, okay?
Yeah. And I called him. I'm like, how?
You remember when 35 down through Texas was like under construction forever?
Oh,
And it's down the one lane and there's Jersey
Yeah.
barriers on both sides.
I'm
I'm
thinking,
trying to keep it out of the
and I know what he's doing because he's talking to me on the phone and he's got his MacBook doing fucking payroll on the stand, and driving. That's the first thing. I mean, day one, I'm like, this, we're getting a steering box tomorrow. I told Carl, Jesus help me. But yeah,
It just goes to show you how good a driver I was. That I could keep that truck off the Jersey barriers all the way down I-35.
Oh, you didn't
Okay.
even need a steering box, did you?
Hell no, I was useless. Okay, I could keep it straight. He couldn't, but I could.
There's some bicycle handlebars up on that thing.
But the son of a bitch would go like 14 degrees in both directions, and the steer tires wouldn't move.
It's getting better by the minute. All right, I got a serious question for you from
For
Richard
me?
McKinnon.
For me,
What's the cause of minor tin, Tin, in the oil sample? Tin, was that rings?
no, that's bearings. 10's bearings.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that was liners.
10 is bearing. No, 10's bearings. 10,
Liners are iron.
Oh,
yeah, liners. Yeah, no, copper and tin are bearings. So
Is tin the first layer and then copper,
zinc.
zinc,
Zinc's
and
the
then,
first layer.
zinc, and then tin and then
Yeah.
copper?
But I mean, what's the number? Don't get excited, okay? Because
Yeah.
if you don't extend the range, you're going to get that 10 number, okay? So give me the numbers, okay? So I understand what you're talking about.
Send a copy of your oil sample to Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com.
Yeah.
Listen, especially Pittsburgh Power, since they bought OPS, they will freak.
Yeah,
fuck out over a
the
2
guy
or a
that makes
3.
those calls. I hate to say this on the air, but
Yeah, don't.
he does. Okay, never mind.
Well, you have to, especially if you're going to do extended drains, you have to adjust your expectations to what oil that's been in the engine for a really long time is going to show.
Right.
We see high iron numbers because we run the catalyst.
There's an example. There's a reason for that.
There's a reason for that.
So, look, if you're going to do extended drains, those numbers are going to accumulate. That's just how that works. So let me see the numbers, and I'll tell you if it's an issue. or
What's the
not.
oil cooler made out? Is that copper? What's
Copper?
the,
Copper, yeah.
Copper.
Yeah.
yeah, I wish that copper would have showed up in 833 before we changed.
Go
three
back.
items.
Let's go back to Phil. We dropped the ball on Phil. Okay, so
Okay.
Well, sorry, things had to happen a while ago. So sorry to run out on y'all like that.
We heard you tonight.
I don't care.
well, we had some other questions. If Phil is not going to jump in and take the bait, we're going to have to go. To
Oh, hold on.
I'll
Hold on.
go.
Richard just came in with more information.
Richard.
It's a DD15 with 915,000.
Well, there you go.
Sample is 10.3 and then 3.5.
I would.
TBN 3.5. Richard, send that to loads at blueribbonlogistics.com. LOADS at blueribbonlogistics.com. I'll look at it for you. Okay. So,
Well, because here's my concern, Richard. A DD15 with 915,000 miles could start to experience low oil pressure because of weakened pickup tubes and oil manifold.
Yeah. Have you done the bottom end on it?
Yeah, that's a good question. It says 50,000 on the oil with
that's
T6.
Not a lot of oil, okay? And that's not. Well, let me know what it is. So you're saying 10 is 3, and TBN is 3.5. That's 3 parts per million. Is it what color is it, Richard? On your sample, is it in yellow? Or is it in red?
Yeah, send that to
Send
us.
that to me. Let me.
If we can look at it on air, we'll.
Yeah.
We will have a look.
Bearings are copper and lead. Lead and tin. Hummingbird Logistics. Good evening, Jared. Rolling the phone.
Is William still on there?
Josh is trying.
was.
Plan on going to Landstar within 2 years unless opportunity for so far. Okay, well that's all right. That's good. Hey, you know the Lee's on here. Lee Byers talking to you.
Lee Byron on here.
Yeah, he
Hey,
says.
is he still, ask him. Hey, Lee, you still out in Idaho, or you make it home?
He had
He's
a
not
longer.
on-
He had a longer post. Oh, here we go.
He on
If Phil was
Facebook?
in his basement, he was working on drinking a shiner. That's what he said. I don't know what that means, but
You know, let me tell you something about him. He come over to my house one day. It was my birthday, and it was my birthday, and me and him wound up at my house, and we're sitting out in the backyard around the fire pit.
yeah.
And he had never had Shiner. Shiner is a beer made in Texas for those of you guys that don't know.
So it's not like Shine.
No, it's not Shiner. This is a
Okay.
Bock beer, which is a certain style of beer. It's a German beer.
Okay.
So it's made by the Spitzel Brewing Company out of Shiner, Texas. That's one of the
Okay.
hence the name Shiner.
You know your beers, don't you?
I know a little bit.
He's an aficionado.
But yeah, anyway, Lee comes over to the house one day and or that night, and him and I and several other people sat around the fire pit and got severely inebriated. And
luckiest man alive. You know that?
we actually had to drive the next day, and needless to say, it took him from my house to Memphis to not be sick anymore. So yeah, say what you want to say about me and alcohol, Lee, but at least my garbage can's got garbage in it instead of something else.
So here's a question. Afternoon, checking on Carl's health.
Mhm.
Chris can give us an update on that. Also asking if you will have the seminar again this year and if outside operators. Well, first of all, outside operators are always welcome. This is not a Landstar seminar. It is a seminar by me and us that talk about our business model. Whether we have it or not this year, that's still I don't make that decision until after March. Our next big event is our March truck show. And so if you ask me this today, I would probably tell you probably not, but I will probably change my mind between now and the end of
Been the
March.
same answer for 2 or 3 years.
So now the other thing, I'm going to put Amber on the spot here because she's here, but Amber was a huge help last year at the event. Huge help.
Mhm.
So if I can hire her to be my event manager,
There you go.
it might be that I would tend more to doing it than if I have to do it myself.
Is it going to be
So,
1099 or W-2?
whatever she wants. Whatever she wants. Under the table works for me. Okay. So,
What's
so
your
anyway,
price?
but we'll see. It's probably going to be August
What?
again. We can't. I don't think we can do it in
I've been
July.
teaching her how to
August
negotiate.
works better. We'll probably have it Willie Kersey. But number one, you're always invited. Number two, as soon as we get through the truck show, we'll start. Usually June is when we start talking about that event, but we'll see. Here's my dilemma, okay? And I hate to say this because we're sitting here in the Wingate Hotel. We love this hotel. We love the facility. We love the way they treat us here, but it's in West Virginia, okay? My decision is always difficult to make because we do it here and we get 50 people, which is great, okay? But if we do it in Kansas City or in Indianapolis or Louisville or Columbus or whatever, it's probably 3 or 4 times that. But the cost of putting it on there is so expensive that for me to do it, it doesn't make a lot of sense because I would make less or more or the same or less money with a lot more work. So if we do it, it's probably going to be in West Virginia because this is where they treat us so well. They cover a lot of the expenses, and that's where. And plus, we've done it here now for 3 years. So that means that you guys got to come to West Virginia if you want to do it. So, but we'll see what happens anyway.
I hear Coleman, Alabama's a nice place.
Coleman, Alabama.
And we have a brand new Wingate.
Do you
just
know?
so you know.
Do you know? Okay.
I can give everyone a Carl update.
Yeah, please do. Please do.
So his situation right now is he's kind of in limbo. He has to have a surgery, I think next week, to repair where they had the feeding tube in, and I guess it didn't close up, and it, they're worried it can cause infection. He just got out of the hospital right before Christmas. Had been in there 2 or 3 days because of an infection, and until he gets this other surgery done, they will not put him on the transplant list for his lung transplant. And the concern is, to go in and do this surgery in his stomach, they're going to have to put him back on a ventilator. And he came so far. I mean, he was death's door and got off of the ventilator, which is incredibly difficult to do. And so he's got to go through another surgery before Cleveland will allow him to get on that transplant list. So, he's kind of in a holding position. His last time I talked to him, it's been a few weeks. His spirits are good. I called him one night because I was mired in an ABS nightmare. And I made some comment to the effect of, I can't wait for your back so I don't have to crawl my fat ass under these trucks. And he said, just wait till I get my new lungs, son. I'm rip roaring ready to go. So that oil sample just came in, by the way.
That reminds me of that night, that weekend in Columbus where he goes, just let me get some sleep. Okay. I got some sleep. Get out of my way. So
son.
He's incredible. I mean, he's incredible. Guys, listen, I don't want to get too deep in religion here, but if praying is part of what you do, pray for Carl. Okay. He needs your prayers.
Absolutely.
Larry, we received the oil sample from Richard, so Larry's going to have a look at that right now.
Looking at it right now.
Well, he says that the bottom end has not been done.
No, it's green. Dude, relax. Please relax. Okay. Your base number, that base is probably going to be affected by, let me look here. It's T6, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The base is low.
Are you adding it? What kind of truck is it? Do we know the truck, Chris?
It's a Cascadia with a DD15.
So it's probably not using any oil. Okay, I would drain a gallon or two out of it and refresh and put 2 gallons of fresh oil in it. That'll fix your base problem.
Yeah, there's no lube added.
No,
now this looks like a first sample.
Yeah,
as well.
No, you're overreacting. Don't worry about that. That green is normal. Green is normal.
Yeah.
Okay. So relax. Okay?
Here's what I would do.
Now, if you're running catalyst, you're going to build up iron. Iron's going to start getting high.
Yeah.
And if you're running Cascadia, I would definitely recommend that you be running the catalyst. Okay. No question about it. But I would drain. The problem with the Cascadia is they're tight and they don't use a lot of oil.
Yeah.
I would drain at least a gallon or two out and get 2 gallons of fresh oil in there. That'll fix your. Do not put Lucas in this truck.
No.
Do not put Lucas in it. Okay. But get a couple of gallons out, refresh it with if you're not using any oil, you're going to have to do this from time to time. You're going to have to drain a couple of gallons out and then get a couple of new gallons in there. That will keep your base up. Now, Pittsburgh Power has a base product, but it's really, 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 really thick. If you want to use that product, that's fine, but just use a little bit of it. Don't use very much of it, and that'll fix your base problem without you having to drop a couple of gallons of oil. Okay.
And if this is your first sample, I would sample and change the OPS filter at 25 instead of 50.
Yes, definitely do that. Don't wait 50. Go
if you're going to
25.
do the extended drains, that's fine. But do the sample at 25 and change your OPS filter.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, with 915,000, if the bottom end has not been done,
right,
you're dealing with a ticking time bomb.
You have got,
I would watch that, especially that oil pressure, very, very closely, because what happens? These plastic pickup tubes in the oil, in the oil pan, they get brittle and they start to break, and it's like sucking through a straw that's got holes in it. And it starts to drop oil pressure. And what will happen over time is it will drop the oil pressure low enough to start damaging the bearings. And that's what our concern was when you first said it was 10, but it's green. That's not anything to be concerned about. But I would find someone that you trust that's capable of dropping the oil pan while the oil pan is out, oil pump manifold, pickup tubes, roll bearings in it, rod and main bearings, and then you're good, because the DD15 is a very, very strong and reliable engine as far as the pistons and the head and all that stuff's concerned. Just, keeping the emissions clean. The other thing that we would, that's on here that you should be aware of, it has the sampled date on here. And that's December 15th of 2023, which they get that from you writing it on the lab form. But it says received 27th of December.
That's too long.
Do not hold on to this sample.
Right.
When you get it out of the motor, get your lab form and get that thing in the FedEx box as soon as possible. Because that sample will degrade over time. Yeah. And that's why that received is highlighted. So don't hang on to it. Get it out of the motor, get it in the bottle, and get it dropped.
It makes the results of the lab report questionable. So you don't, that's why it's highlighted. So don't sit on that sample. Get it in right away. So Chris, let's go back to the near the top of the YouTube. There's a Doug Hill. I'd love to get on a Skype with you guys and discuss my dedicated by the mile deal with one customer drop and hook versus your Landstar deal using a lunatic type truck just for comparison, not for measuring contests. Well, Doug, you can do that. We don't do these consultations for free, but you can go on our website. Chris, can you tell me about
it? blueribbonlogistics.com/conference.
Right. And you can schedule a conference, and we'll be able to. We'll spend a half hour with you, or half hour increments, and we'll talk about whatever you want. And it's not a contest. We'll give you our opinion. So that's available to anybody. blueribbonlogistics.com/conference. If you want to engage Chris and I together, private one-on-one to discuss your issues. What's the price we charge, Chris? What is it?
Oh, don't get me to line.
I think it's 150 an hour. Is it 75? It's 150 an hour, isn't it?
Yeah.
So it's in half hour increments. Is that what it is?
Let me go to the website that I built.
But anyway, we just don't have the time to do it for free anymore. What we do here on Saturday night or whatever night it is.
150 for a half hour, 250 for a full hour.
We do this for free, but we can't do one-on-ones with people for free. It's just not possible. So, but we're happy to you can schedule your own appointment. There's a connection to a calendar there. Pick your appointment, and we'll Skype. We won't Skype it. We'll Zoom with you. So, Doug Hill again for context. Landstar is on the deal I do. They just get paid one way. I get paid both ways. Just curious with having all mags in one bed. The best is better to go. I don't know. We'll need to talk to you and find out more about it.
Here's some information for everybody. Okay. The reason that we're at Landstar and the reason that we recommend Landstar for the first time owner operator is that there is a lot of safety in leasing to a carrier, period, but especially Landstar. There's a lot of safety net that you get at Landstar that you don't get, you sure as hell don't get on your own.
Right.
And you're not going to get at other carriers just because of the scale. I mean, it's $1 billion company. Multi-billion dollar
Fortune
company.
500.
Fortune 500 company. Listen, that comes with a lot of perks. Okay. And, incredibly cheap, bobtail physical damage insurance.
Well,
cargo liability
$33 a week.
Yeah.
33. Chris, I read all these. Look, I'm reading all these. You know how you call them a vortex. Okay. I don't know what I call them.
Mhm.
You get on YouTube or you get on TikTok and you start watching something and all of a sudden that's all you see anymore. That's called an algorithm. Am I right about that?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you watch one of those and now you see 50 of them. All these problems with these independents with factoring companies.
Oh yeah.
And all these problems with insurance companies. I look at that and I go, you know what? I've never had that problem. I've never had an issue with this. I've never had an issue with that, So, you guys that get all up in the air about losing 35% of your revenue, I wonder how Phil feels about that. Phil's been here for 10 years now hauling heavy haul shit, okay? Phil, you give 35% of your revenue away from on the top. Do you know that?
35.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine, man. They got to make something, right? Hey, look, 35% of nothing is nothing. 65% of nothing is nothing. So if they think that we actually give 35%, they take 35%,
well, I put
which
that number out earlier.
This is
bullshit, to begin with. But
my answer to all those is always okay. So the premise here is that you pay nothing. That's the premise. We're paying 35% and you pay nothing. Yet I look at my insurance cost versus your insurance cost, and nobody's ever taken me up yet on the challenge. No one's ever sent me the financials.
The last load I did back in December, I went out to Phoenix, and one of the guys that was out there on this project was an approved carrier for Landstar, and he told me what he was getting paid to do that load.
Right.
And I can guarantee you one thing: Landstar can have that 35% all they want, because that guy is getting raped over the coals.
You must just be nuts to give Landstar 35% of your money. I mean, come on.
These fucktards just want to get on TikTok and comment on one video, not do anything.
Well,
not look at anything else.
It's easy to that's such low hanging fruit. First of all, I've been at Landstar now for almost 10 years now. And I did my numbers. I think I shared them with all you guys.
You did.
What was our percentage? Was it 28%?
29.
29%. So it's 29 to begin with. Okay, just to start out with. It's not 35.
I can look it up.
Second of all,
one word: insurance.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well, no, 2 words: factory.
Well, yeah, factoring and insurance.
Yeah.
That covers it
And
right there.
And load board subscription.
Yeah.
Fuel discount.
29.
Unparalleled. Our fuel was what was it of gross? 20. Help me out here. 20.
Fuel was.
What was our gross?
21% of gross.
There you go.
I know a lot of the independent owner operators probably have some kind of fuel discount, fuel cards, whatever.
Yeah.
But could you imagine going to the truck stop and paying the Marquis price for that shit?
But you know what?
Yeah,
I went to NASTIC's convention, not convention, but it's called Nest, New Entrant something. I did it twice. That's how stupid I fucking am. Okay. I did it twice.
DL, what are you talking about? Because we don't negotiate with other BCOs for rates.
So I went to NASTIC's thing. So I'm on their list. Okay. I'm on their list. So every year their insurance people, their fuel people call me to try to get me to use their fuel card.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And it's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good. It's not bad. When I tell them I'm at Landstar, they just hang up.
Yeah.
The conversation stops because they know there's not any comparison.
Yeah.
Our fuel was 21% of revenue. 21% of revenue.
Yep.
I do accounting for people whose fuel is 45% of revenue. Okay. So anyway.
One more load a week.
So let me add another question for you. William Haynes. William, first of all, I hope you're having a happy New Year and Merry Christmas. We think a lot of you, buddy.
Hey, come back, man. Come back.
Yeah. William, come anytime. Hey, if you're available at the truck show, come join us for our Saturday night thing, okay? So contact me about that. I'd love to have you. Okay. But you do have to dress up. You can't wear those shitty ass, those dirty ass.
No suspenders allowed.
I'm just messing with you, buddy. There are a lot of videos about 74K a year not being middle class, with average owner operator paid 60. Is trucking still viable? Absolutely, absolutely. But here's the thing: the average owner operator is making this year was 62.5. Just to correct your numbers. But we know for a fact that if you do your business the way it can be done, there's no reason you can't be at Landstar making 150, even giving up the 29%.
Mhm.
Okay. So I know you're doing that to get me to say that, but I appreciate the segue. So since everyone is enjoying the spirits, let's talk about IFTA. What do you want to talk about IFTA, Clyde? Ask him about IFTA, okay?
He's trying to start a fight.
I know he is. He's just trying to.
What did he
he's trying-
ask?
About
He
IFTA.
wants to know about IFTA. Ask me some specific questions, and I'll talk to you about IFTA all you want. But I'm not going to be baited tonight. So just so you know that.
All right, DL.
I know that.
Now, DL, we're not.
Where are we at, Chris?
We're
Help me
at
out
the
where we're
very
at.
bottom. Right, we're
Very
not.
bottom.
We're not. Well, listen, we're not trying to hit you in the mouth, but we got to explain a couple things. He says, "Do you negotiate with BCOs, or are the rates set in stone?" All
I
right,
don't
well,
see that. I don't see
It's
that.
all the way at the
It's
bottom.
all
I see,
the way at the
okay, I
bottom of
see it.
YouTube.
I see it. It's
And
not
then-
at the bottom. It's almost.
It says, "I know that Landstar has good rates. Do they give high rates automatically, or do you have to negotiate back and forth like C.H. Robinson?" Okay, couple things. BCO is the truck, the business capacity owner.
It's what Landstar calls an owner operator.
Yeah.
Because,
And the agents.
but let's understand. Let me say something here. Can I
Go
jump
ahead.
in here? Our conversation we talked about today. Okay, this right here.
I'm gonna get to that.
Okay.
That's my plan.
All right, then I'll let you go.
Okay. So the BCO is the truck operator. The agent is the person that connects the BCO with the customer. Okay. Landstar does not have good rates, and Landstar does not have bad rates. Landstar does not give high rates, and Landstar does not give low rates. Is there negotiation? To an extent, yes. Okay. But rates are set by one thing, one and only one thing: the supply of trucks versus the demand of freight, period.
And it's not set by the broker.
It's not set by the broker. It's not set by the agent. It's not set by the truck. It's not set by the customer. The available number of trucks versus the available number of loads sets the rates. If there are too many trucks and not enough loads, the rates go down. If there are too many loads and not enough trucks, the rates go up. Period. End of story. All right. Now, to the issue of the word negotiation when it comes to dealing with Landstar agents. There are two kinds of agents. Well, there's two kinds of freight at Landstar. There's direct and there's non-direct. That means direct means a Landstar agent has gone, knocked on the door. "Hey, Mr. Customer, I have access to all these trucks. I would like to haul your freight. Let's sign a contract between me and you. I'm Landstar, you're the customer. We are going to have a direct relationship where there's no one else between us." In most cases, not all, but most cases, there's a contract. The contract says what the rate will be. The contract says what the fuel surcharge will be. So there is no negotiation. We called today. We had a guy that was supposed to come back to work next week. He said, "Hey, I'm coming back tomorrow." Richie jumped on the board, saw an agent that we know, had a load from point A to point B, paid $2,500 and some odd dollars. That's it.
2564.
That's it. It's a preloaded trailer. It picks up here. It goes there. It pays $25.64. Period. End of story. Now, if there were no agents that had the ability to go and book, say, a C.H. Robinson load, for example, all Landstar agents can do is go to a customer, sign that contract that we talked about, and that's it. That's the only thing on our board. And I go to an area, I go to Memphis, and I deliver a direct customer load. And now my trailer's empty. What am I going to do? Well, I look, and there are no direct shipper loads within 500 miles. But I know that C.H. Robinson had loads, or TQL has loads, or Tom, Dick, and Harry has a load. If I, as a BCO, want to call Tom's brokerage and book a load, well, I don't have that authority. The agent does. So I've got to call the agent, and the agent's got to call Tom, and then they've got to work out the deal. That's the way it works. Well, there are agents here that don't have any direct freight. They only have C.H. Robinson or TQL or whoever it is, okay? Well, they do the work so that I don't have to. In that situation, they see a load on truckstop.com, goes from point A to point B, and they want to go call and book that load. Well, they can't do that unless they have a truck. How are they going to get a truck? Well, they're going to see that load that's going from point A to point B, and they're going to look at the market, again, that's developed based on supply and demand, and say, I can, one, get that broker to give me that load for $1,200, and I can get a BCO to call me for $1,200. So I'm going to put that load on the board. I'm going to post it for $1,200. BCO calls. Hey, you have this load to that load? Yep. Let me call the customer. Customer is the broker. And they're going to say, hey, now I have a truck. Because they can't call and get that load unless they have a truck. Now I've got a truck on the line. Hey, this is such and such with Landstar. Can I get this load from A to B for $1,200? And the guy says, most I'm paying is $1,150. Comes back. Hey, BCO, he wants to do this load for $1,150. At that point, I'm either going to take it for $1,150 or I'm going to say, no, thanks, man. Not interested. Have a nice day.
But we're not going to bash the agent.
I'm not going to lose my shit. I'm not going to cry like a toddler. I'm not going to throw a fit. I'm not going to post on Facebook. I'm going to move on with my life.
Find another load.
Right? That's it. That's the end of the story. Right? Now, I might say, yeah, I'll take it for $1,150. There have been times that I've called on a load posted for $1,200 and say, man, listen, I will 100% do it at $1,200, but if you can get $1,350, and they'll try. I've had, and I know you've had this too, where I've called, I'm sure you have too. I've called on what we call a third-party load for $1,350. He'll come back and say, man, I got you $1,425.
Yep.
Well, hell yeah, you did, brother. You know what he's doing? Helping his customer. In that case, that's me, right? So is there negotiation? Yes and no. But if you are not aware of the condition of the market that you are operating in, we had a minimum of $10,000 a week last year. We adjusted that down to $8,000 a year. $8,000 a week, because we knew that the market had shifted. There were not enough loads. There were too many trucks. The reality is there's plenty of loads. There's just too many damn trucks. The condition of the overall economy is good. It's actually up over 2021. I think it was 9 or 10%. The actual number of loads was up, but every goddamn dude and their brother went and bought a damn truck in 2021, and there's just too many trucks. And I hate to break y'all's heart, but y'all need to go away. There's a bunch of y'all need to go away, and you're going away.
So let's talk about the word negotiate for a second, okay? Because people think negotiation is like buying a used car, where there's a winner and a loser, and you're never going to do business again. That's not negotiation. Negotiation can end with both people being happy with the results.
Yep.
That's what negotiation is. It's not tire kicking. It's not the example of what's the guys on TV, the Pawn Star guys. Yeah. That's not negotiation, okay, in the real world.
Right.
Negotiation in this situation is that both people leave happy with the deal. That's negotiation. If you ever want to do business with them again, okay? A lot of truck drivers think that negotiation is that I kicked his ass and I won. That's not negotiation. That's just like, I'm never going to do business with you again. So, all right, I got a couple things. So first of all, Larry Cawthron, if you're still on here, I need you to contact me. Loads at blueribbonlogistics.com. I need to talk to you about something very important, okay? Larry Cothran, loads at blueribbonlogistics.com.
Paging Larry Cothran.
If you're still on here, please reach out to me. I need to talk to you. There was something else on here.
I got one more thing about the negotiation. One of my favorite things to do, and it's not something that I seek out, but happens from time to time, is I'll call Igor in Ukraine or whatever, and I'll book a load, and he'll call me back, and I can hear his voice shaking. Sir, yes, sir. The customer has said they will only pay $12.50 on this load that I booked for $13.25 or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I'll take it at that. And he's like, what'd you say? Because I don't cuss him out.
Right.
Yep.
Why would I do that? Well, number one, I know what I need in that moment. It's a puzzle piece for me. I can go this far in deadhead. Here's what I've done the rest of my week. This load will fit if it's at least, 1,000 or 1,100 or 1,200, 1,500. I know it'll work. And if it works for me, the time works and everything works, and then he calls me back and the broker's playing games with him, and they want at the last minute, they want to cut $75 off. And he's fully expecting me to blow my top, lose my shit. And I go, man, listen, man, I'll take it at that. You'll do what?
And these are BCOs.
No, the agents.
No, agents.
Right, I know,
yeah,
but
yeah.
they're afraid of getting cussed out by BCOs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
This agent that we were just talking about, I had a 45-minute conversation with her. She cold called a BCO to ask for him to take one of her loads going from point A to point B. I'm not going to give her name up.
Right.
But he starts going back and forth with her, saying before she even gets out with the rates or anything, the load's paying $310 a mile, $308 a mile, something like that. Well, I don't haul cheap freight. He's not pulling another load for her unless it's a bullshit load.
Yeah.
I would last about 17 minutes as an agent.
Oh.
One of the loads.
Trust me when I tell you this. That you're right.
One of the loads that I booked this week, actually the one load I booked for Greg this week, it was posted for, I think, 4,000.
Yeah.
Time I called the agent up, he said, you know what? If you can match 3,800, it's yours. I said, let's do it.
Here is the perfect example of why Richie's successful in this business. He understands who his customer is.
Yep.
He understands. Okay. He understands that if everybody would just understand that if you take care of your customer, they'll take care of you. You know, you're not going to win every battle. No one wins every battle. Okay. The people that win every battle are the ones in the war. It's the ones who I'm going to move on. So here's a question I want to answer.
Mm-hmm.
Willie Lee Kersey, can you explain why no Lucas products? Well, let me qualify that. It's not that we say no Lucas products. We don't want you to use Lucas oil additive because the whole point of this T6 is to lower the viscosity, to lower the parasitic drain that's robbing you of fuel mileage. Okay. And when you put the Lucas in there, all you're doing is just adding viscosity back to it. The only time you use Lucas is if you're trying to protect bearings. In this situation where these bearings were green, I would not worry about it. If they came back red, different story. I'd protect the bearings, dump the oil, figure out what's going on.
Especially with coolant intrusion.
Absolutely. But you don't want to use Lucas as a regular thing because all it's doing is increasing your viscosity. We do not want that. We want as low viscosity as we can get and still protect the motor. And that's why we use T6. There's no reason to use T6 if you're adding Lucas to every oil change. That is ridiculous. Okay. So no, do not. Now, Lucas injector cleaner, different story. We use that all the time. But
I was watching Vice Grip Garage the other day, that old Chevrolet pickup truck we're talking about.
Yeah.
And they stopped at a place to fix the exhaust, because the fumes were getting, and the rear main seal is pouring oil, right? Yeah. And he goes, well, we decided while we've got it on the rack, we're going to go ahead and fix this rear main seal. And I thought, they're going to pull the transmission. Nope. He cracks open a bottle of rear main seal stuff, pours it in. He's like, hey, rebuilding rear main seal, rebuilding, done.
Oh my gosh.
I'll take another one. It's the blanket answers that everybody's after.
Exactly.
Well, just do this. If you just run Lucas all the time, or if you just run T6 all the time. No, it's
every situation requires critical thinking.
Is this for me? Question? Oh,
Every situation requires critical thinking.
Somebody was at Hummingbird was asking about gear ratio. I run at 1,350 RPMs.
That was my next question.
Why? The last gear is 0.74, so it's a standard overdrive. It's a 13 or a 10. Okay. And the rear end gear ratio is 370. What's the best speed for fuel mileage in a truck like this? Well, what's the motor?
Yeah.
The sweet spot for a Detroit's 1,350.
If you're in a Detroit, you're there.
So that's it, right?
Yeah.
Is 58 too slow? Too slow for what?
Right.
No. Is it too slow for traffic in Arizona? Probably.
You're too slow for your fellow truckers that think you're stupid.
Yeah. Is it too slow for when you've got to make your delivery?
Right.
You know, people are like, well, what speed do y'all run? I'm like,
you're asking for a blanket answer. It's not one for this. Okay. The way that you maximize return on what we do is that you have to look at every situation and you have to analyze what the answer is to that situation. If you're looking for blanket answers, you're going to end up making bad decisions, okay? Because they're not any. 58, it works fine if you don't have to worry about being on time for an appointment. Again, it all depends on the situation. You know, we tell our guys 58 to 62 is ideal, but does that mean that that's what they do? No. If they have to make a delivery, they got to drive 70. They got to drive 70. But the next time they're there and they don't have to be there for 2 hours, they can get there on time and drive 58. Why not? You know, but there's not one answer to both those questions. It depends.
Lee Byers says, in my humble opinion, how humble are Lee Byers' opinions?
Not very.
That depends on how much he's had to drink. That depends on if he's had any shiner or not.
The best blanket answer to fix things right the first time, and you'll more than make up the added short-term cost in the long term. Well, that's a pretty good blanket answer.
Yeah.
Do it right the first time. Now, he also said, if you want to haul only direct shipper freight, guess what? There's a button for that. Direct shipper, yes or no, except that there are agents in the Ukraine that are smart enough to figure out that there are some BCOs that will only check yes. And so they will post loads that are not direct as direct.
Well,
and I can look through the board and get, there ain't no damn way that's direct freight.
There's an opposite end of that spectrum also. There's also the agents that have direct customers that for some reason will not market as direct freight.
That's true.
I see it all the time.
Who's DL? Do we know who DL is?
Or give a different rate.
DL looks familiar, like DL has
You're not
commented
trying
before.
to buy the truck out from under me, are you, Larry?
I think DL's mean. I've seen DL before. I think DL's being facetious.
Well, look, it's almost 9 o'clock.
We're
Which
just
means you've
getting
been
started.
almost for 2 hours.
Well, okay. Well, we're going to do this real quick, and then this is what will end. I want to talk about this.
Well, what about your skydiving adventure? If we want to see you go skydiving,
what?
I need you to go down the hall.
Let's go skydiving. Chris.
Go out this door and down the hall. And the first door on the right is a nice, dark, cold place you can go fuck yourself.
Come
okay?
on, y'all want to go skydiving?
Skydiving? What are you talking about?
Yeah, Keith's talking about it.
He's not going skydiving anywhere.
No,
I know him.
he's not.
I know better than that. Skydiving.
I want to talk about this for just a second.
Well, what is that? Explain what that is.
It's your thing. Okay.
I know what it is.
All right.
They don't know what it is.
Well, that's what I'm getting to.
I wrote the son of a bitch. I know what it is.
So Larry has come up with some absolutely brilliant questions. Because of course we get lots of especially on TikTok, people that watch 17 seconds of a 10-minute video. They ask lots of questions, and so we have a spot on the website called Drive for Us, and you can go click on that, and it asks you some basic questions. We're going to
which by the way, that needs to be changed to something besides Drive for Us.
Okay. Well, I'll work on that too.
Okay.
That'll be tomorrow's brainstorming session.
Thank you.
But these will be after our summit here in West Virginia. This is what you're going to run into when you go to the link to join our program. Join our program instead of Drive for Us.
Thank you. I like that better.
I like that better.
Because you know what? We don't hire truck drivers.
That's
you aware of
100%
that?
true.
You know?
But I want to roll through just a couple of these questions.
I'm going to go through all of them.
Okay.
We got 10 minutes.
Number one, why? And this is a question that everybody gets asked when we do an interview with a potential program participant, why do you want to start a business? When did you realize that you wanted to be in business? Why did you pick trucking as the business to start? And these are all going to be like essay questions. You're actually going to have to type out a response. I'm so
You do know I sleep with an English teacher, right?
Yeah. How much experience do you have in trucking? How much experience do you have in management?
Any management.
How much experience do you have in any business ownership? How much capital? They don't even know what that is. How much
I was just
capital?
about to say, what's capital?
Charleston.
Tallahassee.
Spokane.
I only have little letters.
I don't live in it. What's the capital? of my
I
state?
only have lowercase letters.
So this is the filter that's going to get rid of most of the truck drivers. How much capital do you currently have to start your business? Are there any personal conflicting issues that would interfere with starting your business now? Like, is your wife pregnant? Do you have a 3-day-old baby? Are you now, or have you ever participated in a lease purchase in trucking? Number 10 is going to get added there is how many leases have you done? Because we know most of y'all can't figure it out the first damn time. So you do it 3 or 4 more times after that.
Thinking that the second time is going to be better than the first time.
Sure, the second time is going to be better.
Yeah, I'm going to try this one. It's better.
I'm talking I'm talking to you, Mr. $5,600 a month truck payment on Schneider that I saw on TikTok the other day.
Shit.
This is going to be awesome. Rate each of the following, with 1 being the highest and 10 being the least. I think that needs to be 10 needs to be the highest and 1 is the least.
No, 1 is the highest. 10 is the least.
Well,
number 1 is number 1.
Well,
number 10
I'm just telling
sucks.
you. Listen, I know.
Hey,
I know the
hey,
audiences.
hey. Who had the idea about that?
I know the audience.
Thank you.
Okay, so you're going to rate each of the following from 1 to 10. Being my own boss, setting my own hours, saving money, setting a budget, choosing my own home time and duration, my appearance, forming a relationship with a broker or agent, the appearance of my equipment, what my friends and family think about my decisions, working harder to increase my business revenue, how my spouse or significant other thinks of me starting a business, having sufficient working capital to sustain unexpected events, service to a customer, business communication, maintaining a business relationship, even when it's inconvenient, being financially set for retirement, working harder to lower my cost of doing business, providing my own benefits instead of depending on an employer, expecting help from the government or industry authorities, having
That's the best one, right?
having a warranty and a newer truck, driving to get better fuel mileage, getting as many miles as I can legally drive in a week. So all that you're going to have to rate 1 through 10. 10
Not rank, but rate.
Rate.
The
Each
government ought to
individual.
do something about this questionnaire.
All right. Now, do you have one of your verifiable OTR? How many tickets or warnings? This is all the qualifying stuff. But notice that we're putting business philosophy first, because all these people, they'll watch the TikToks and they'll watch the YouTubes, and we'll ask them, well, why do you want to be in business? And what they should say is, well, I don't want to be in business. I just want to own a truck. That's what they should say.
Well,
But
that's
they
what they
don't.
do say. They just don't say it that way.
Right. Most of them are like freedom. So I immediately ask, from what? Is it you're trying to be free? So I think this is going to be a very interesting filter through which people that come in the front door. And number 21 is probably my favorite. Do you use Windows, Android, Mac, or iPad? Because that's going to tell a lot about you. Because listen, I will judge you by the content of your character, not the color of your text.
I think,
But that's not true, because I will judge you
22 is
based
the
on the
best
color of
question
your
on
text.
the whole thing.
Huh?
I think the last question is the best question on the whole thing.
What is or was the best job? The job is in bold. What is and was the best job you've ever had, and why?
I know my answer to that.
What is it?
Pressure washing.
What?
Pressure wash.
Pressure wash.
Pressure
I've got it. Listen,
That was pressure.
Full-
There's a story
stop.
behind that.
Really?
Yeah.
full stop. I got to hear that story. Go, Richie Matthews.
So, I mean, it's pretty simple. I love the before and after. Seeing something dirty as shit and then being able to get it like mint condition And
I can dig that.
And two, Charlie Hoffman was the dude who wasn't going to hire me because I lived 16 miles away from his house where I had to be at each morning with no car. But he still hired me, and I got it done. So I like working with him, and I like doing the job.
Okay.
TL says, I want to be rich like Larry.
Listen, if I wasn't truck driving, I'd still do pressure washing.
So the answer to
All
your
day.
question, DL, is that if you're a existing LLC, you have a year to comply with the FinCEN. If you're a new LLC, you have to do it right away. I think 30 days. So there's a big change in the LLC world come January 1.
What?
Okay.
Oh.
It's called the business owner.
Let me consult the book of knowledge.
Yeah. Anyway, it's basically just people who are hiding behind LLCs to launder money and that sort of thing. It's just
For the love of
yeah. It's a big deal. But LLCs are not going to be as attractive anymore to people who want to launder money. This is the basic deal.
the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network.
There you go.
Oh, good.
This is the
God.
IRS.
If you're an existing LLC, you've got
No.
a year. But now
Yeah.
understand something.
Treasury.
If you're in violation, the fines are $500 a day from day one.
They go fuck
So
themselves.
do
Well,
not
Hey,
do
I
not be
hate
in
those
violation.
motherfuckers.
go
So,
back and explain it. In
Android is
violation of
I
what,
don't
though?
care what y'all think. I said in my humble opinion only because I played. Okay, so anyway, guys, listen. Some.
Oh, wait a minute. Well, pause on this. This is great. You're going to love this. This is from the Wikipedia page on this Financial Crimes Enforcement Network. The 2001 USA Patriot Act. Anything that starts with that is just out of my.
The thing that everybody threw out the window. The
Yeah.
freedoms thrown
Yeah.
out the window.
Yeah, that's when I
Required
couldn't open a
security.
bank account anymore.
The 2001
Gen X.
USA Patriot Act, that was 22 years ago, by the way, required the Secretary of the Treasury to create a secure network for the transmission of information to enforce the relevant regulations. FinCEN's regulations under Section 314 enable federal law enforcement agencies through FinCEN to reach out to more than 45,000 points of contact at more than 27,000 financial institutions to locate accounts and transactions of persons that may be involved in terrorist financing. That's Richie. And or money laundering. It's just what.
Well, look, here's the
fucking
thing.
joke.
Okay, everybody needs to have a CPA.
100%.
CPA, not
Think
not-
of the children.
CPA. Consult your CPA about your FinCEN requirements. Okay, and that's what you need to do. Listen, guys, we have got some opportunities. We've got 5 trucks getting ready to come on. We've got a couple of people who've expressed interest in putting trucks on with us. If you want to be in the program and you understand what we do here and you want to be a part of what we do and learn how to do this the right way without having taken all the risk on, go to our website and submit the submission. You're going to have to subject yourself to this after tomorrow, but you have to understand we don't have jobs here. We don't provide trucking jobs. We provide a program to teach you how to start in business and stay in business. We teach you how to be Richie. We teach you how to be Phil. We teach you how to be Seth. We teach you how to be William. Teach you how to be. So it's to teach you the basics of how to be in the trucking business and survive, and be there when things get good again. Understand something, okay? Listen to me when I say this, okay? All the things that you've seen on Facebook about how bad things are, we don't experience that. We're growing 50% between now and the 1st of April. 50% between now and the 1st of April. Okay. We made money in 2023. All right. We do it because we know how to run businesses. We're not trucking people. We don't hate our customers. We don't, we have a way of doing this that is successful, and you can be successful too, but you have to subscribe to the ways of the lunatic and forget about all the people out there that want you to not haul cheap freight. Okay. That's all there is to it. So if you're willing to have the tough skin and go, fuck you to everybody else that you know of, we can make you very successful here. But you got to take the first step. And the first step is go to www.blueribbonlogistics.com. Right now it says drive for us. Tomorrow that's going to be changed. Let's go in business with us. Okay. Good night. Good.
And
happy.
remember, it's It's December 30th. And so in about 27 hours, it's going to be 2024, an election year. If y'all thought 16 and 20 were wild, y'all better buckle your seatbelts because this shit's going to get crazy.
I sent a message out to my fleet this week. I want to try to bring it up real quick if I can find it.
Which one?
The one about the hours and whatnot in 2024. I really liked what I did.
I'll
there.
still be wearing my shirt. come election day.
I can't make my screen go away, so I can't find
I
it.
should have been wearing it right now.
What? About what?
I'll find it. Just give me a second.
Okay.
It's
We'll fill
about
time.
2024. It's a. I can't make my screen go away. I can't make it fucking go. Okay. So in our fleet message, under fleet, it says something about 2024. There it is.
Oh,
You have 12 months.
Yep.
Or 52 weeks, or 365 days, or 8,760 hours, or 252,600 minutes, or 3,153,600 seconds coming up in 2024. Everybody's got the same. Nobody has an advantage. But yet some people will take advantage of that and some people will piss it away. What are you going to do? Happy New Year.
and with that, lunatics, we bid you good evening. It's 9 o'clock. We still got lots of drinking to do. So
Happy New Year.
Freaking
Happy New Year.
Cheers. And we'll talk to you next week.
We'll
Be
s-
safe, everybody. Okay?
we'll see you next year.
Thanks, everybody, for being. And listen, go to Pittsburgh Power. Okay. Tell them that you found them here. We need those guys. Okay. And by the way, we do have a big, big announcement coming up in
Oh.
a couple of weeks. A huge announcement coming up in a couple of weeks. Huge announcement
It's big.
coming up. It's
It's
really,
big.
really,
Hey,
really,
hey.
really big. And you're going to be surprised.
Like and subscribe. You've only got 17 of y'all liking this podcast. There's 45 of y'all on the watching.
Oh,
right
yeah.
now.
Like
Like
and
and
subscribe, you
motherfucker.
bastards.
Subscribe. and-
Or I'm going to track you down and meet you somewhere.
Easy now.
Good night, DL. Yeah. Good night.
We'll s-
Everybody, good night. And we'll see you next year. And we have a big, 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 big announcement coming in a week or
Huge.
two.
It's
Okay.
it's huge.
Can't
It
wait.
is- it
It's
is-
huge.
it is- it is huge.
It is now. He's gonna knock it down.
It is huge.
All right,
okay?
we're gonna quit. We're gonna quit while we're ahead. We'll see y'all
Good
next
night,
year.
everybody. See you.